Good morning, gorgeous souls. Thank you for joining me live, or if you're going to join me later on. And actually, it's been coming through to me literally as I was getting ready before jumping on here. I'm going to be sharing over the coming days. There's been something quite big. It's like, how do I fit this into one session? And I can't. So that's because it's meant to be bite-sized chunks for you. So I'm going to be bringing through over the next few days. So keep signed up, subscribe, and you'll get a notification that I'll be going live. And ask questions. If there are things that are resonating, not resonating, confusing you, then drop some comments and I will spend time in the follow-up sessions explaining things, especially around wealth, around the energetics of wealth, around money, around our relationship to all these things. And it's such a huge topic, and how many people are worrying and spending so much energy thinking about money, thinking about their inner worth because they don't have enough money, regardless of the amount that they have. It is such a deep and intrinsic belief system and connection that we have to both our inner worth, our inner value, our perspective of success and where we fit in the world, and also a deep connection with our body and survival. So that's pretty charged. That's huge. That's huge for us to carry around every single day. And for the women that I work with, they are on their awakening journey. They have started to go in and do their deeper inner shadow work. They have looked at their core wounds, and money as a consciousness and their relationship to it is always part of the feminine awakening. In fact, it's a part of all of our awakening. And I want to really bring that into context. There's a lot of talk around 3D to 5D. And what's happening energetically is the planet has gone through its own ascension. It is holding higher frequency, shall we say. That has come through the solar flares. It's come through the cycle that we've moved through. It's come through many, many people doing their deep inner work, therefore releasing so much dense shadow that literally there is more light on this planet. So collectively, as we are a collective field, we get triggered by what the collective field is doing. So that means that by more people doing their inner work, opening their hearts, holding a higher quotient of light on this planet, it is creating a ripple effect. So collectively, we're no longer in this dense 3D linear set point. We have access to higher bandwidth of perspectives. And what that means is that in a very linear model and consciousness, we are locked into the 3D, meaning just the physicality. We can't actually access the consciousness and the energetics that are outside of that, or not just outside of that, they're actually accessible through us. And this is really the awakening journey to understand that we are a vessel for source. We're a vessel for light. And all of the ancient teachings have sought to, in different ways where they could, because they were being locked down and suppressed, to teach us that we are the vessel and we are a conduit for source. Now, all of the religious programs, all of the teachings often meant, especially if we look at back, if you want to go money system, Babylonian times, was that we were to only go to a priest or a high priest or somebody in that realm, and they were the ones that connected to source, not us. So they made huge decisions and they were helping to run those kingdoms and give advisory services to those that were in power. However, what that did is it meant that individuals then started to have certain collective beliefs and fears and distortions around their own divinity, their own connection to source, their own ability to become the channel. So the priests and the priestesses would have worked through certain practices to open up their channel of light, to open up their chakra system, to start to allow themselves to tune into different levels of consciousness, and by doing that, getting the downloads, the divine downloads, and being able to be those oracles, those mystics, those healers. And as we know, there's been a huge consciousness shift on this planet over the past really about 15 years, but it's accelerated in the past 5 years, especially since we've had COVID, as more people have chosen to go on a path of self-discovery, to start to heal from the wounds that got triggered, that came up through the pandemic period, and to really discover, why am I here? What's my purpose? Who actually am I without these constructs that I've created in my life that perhaps do not serve me anymore? So that journey of self-discovery is deeply individual. It is something that gets switched on depending on when it's ready for your soul, and also the appetite of the individual. You know, how much of a truth seeker are you? And it's to understand that everybody's lens of perspective affects their lens of their version of truth. So that means it is always the inner alchemy that must happen. And to recognize that everything is about you in relation to you. It's a relationship game, and not in the 3D sense solely. It's a relationship with yourself, a relationship with your connection to true Mother, Father, God. So your connection to source and connection to the earth, your connection to your body, your relationship with your body. It's a connection to the outer projection of the reality that is reflecting to you your inner world. And this is also really this differentiation between the 3D to 5D. And as we step into the knowledge that quantum physics is bringing, but really the holographic nature of reality. So knowing that the law of correspondence is one of the key things that when we're working with anything, whether it's clearing our energy field, whether it's changing beliefs about things, whether it's doing healing work, whether it's changing our relationship with money and wealth and starting to look at that, is to start to also consider this, come back to that law of correspondence. It's to understand that many people in the 3D way of operating are using just talking therapy, for example, or using past data to then make their choices, to believe that that is the only way to predict their future. It's almost like if you can imagine a video projector and it's projecting a screen onto a wall, so you can watch the video on the wall. If you want to change what's on that screen, you can go up to that wall and start trying to move it around or trying to make change, but it's not going to make any difference. We have to go back to the projector. We have to go back to the slide that's in the projector, because the light is coming through that slide and through the projector onto that wall. And that is really what's happening, but you are part of the projector, and the slides that are the filters, and they create frequency fences. So the beliefs are part of the filters that you hold, the imprints that you've taken on from certain experiences or from your ancestors, they're part of the slides that you hold. And if you can imagine, the light is coming through all parts of your being, but it's projecting out through your chakra system. And your chakra system is not fully developed immediately as you're born. It is developing through your early childhood to around sort of 10 years old, and then really up until your late teens, which is part of the lenses that you are then being loaded up with, the programming. And that's where the personality is formed. So when people say get rid of the ego, it's not really getting rid of the ego. It's to understand that there is a wounded part of the ego, but also the ego is ensuring you get up and do your hair and you look after your body, and that you know, that you have a sense of self in relation to this 3D reality. It's not about getting rid of that. So what we're considering here is all of these different pieces often then reflect who we believe ourselves to be, because what we're seeing in the outside projection is not relating to where we believe that we could be. So we start to have a desire. We start to, depending on your consciousness and how much you're tuning into your soul, the women I work with, one of the key things that we're getting switched on with is connecting them to their light, connecting them to their higher selves, getting them to channel that light through themselves, starting to open themselves up, open up their energy centers to hold more light, to be more radiant, to actually expand their energy and take up more space. Because that's actually what we're doing when we're going through an awakening process, and the old woundings that are coming up because more light is trying to come through us, and those old wounds will start to surface from the unconscious into the subconscious. So they come through the body, and they might start to show up in your dreams, or perhaps, you know, certain things start to show up in your projection, because ultimately higher density, high frequency light coming through the lower density material that's becoming aware and activated within you will then start to show up in your outer reality. So we start to get certain things that trigger us, or certain things that show up. The trigger is showing us that we hold a filter, so a lens that is distorted in some level, because it no longer serves us for the truth of being this clear vessel, to allow yourself to really access what we will talk about, say the quantum field, the true abundance of the infinite amount of possibilities, energy, including resources that's available in the universe. These filters that we hold, that are compiled through our childhood, we take on through the stories that we have, gathered through our experiences, we inherit them from our ancestral lineage, we take them on by the cultures, the educational system that we've been in. These are the filters through which you have not only created your current reality, but they then become the upper ceiling, shall we say, when you have issues that are showing up, perhaps about resources, money, visibility, wanting to step into your purpose. Now, when we are saying yes to soul and we start to really step into our spiritual path, which is to understand that we are soul consciousness having a physical experience, but we have access to higher levels of our soul wisdom whilst also being in this body. It's not separate. We are beginning to bridge and align, knowing that the higher truth of the accessibility of the infinite knowledge, wisdom, power, answers, solutions sits actually with a higher level consciousness of our soul. We've just got to start connecting that in and bringing that into the physicality daily, forging that relationship, starting to hold that higher light. Now, the thing that gets in the way is that we often have these massive transformational experiences where we may have had a twin flame or a soulmate comes in and they activate us, or we go and we have a kundalini activation. So suddenly accessing energy and we're seeing, light, and we're beginning to really go past this veil of illusion of the 3D and tap into 4D, 5D and above. We start to be able to hold a higher frequency of bliss and love and joy, and we begin to know that our heart open can hold those frequencies. Yet when we're in 3D locked in, we're very limited to the physicality, meaning, yes, we can experience a range of emotions, but often because of the consciousness field of humanity and the level of suffering and pain, and also the scarcity programs, these are really collective belief systems of what we think is normal. We are up against that. So one part of our consciousness knows that that is not the ultimate truth. And part of our reconciliation, and this happens whether it's wanting to attract into a healthy relationship, or wanting to manifest more money, or wanting to grow your business, you will have a filter that is needing to be refined, cleared, changed for you to hold more light, and then your projection of reality of what you're creating will shift. So this is really beginning to look at the energetics of wealth. Wealth is not just money. Wealth is about health as well. If your body is not healthy, you will not be able to hold a higher frequency of not only emotions, but also you will not be able to consistently hold a higher frequency of light. You won't be able to be that clear channel if you're not really looking after your body, or you are actually been through a lot of trauma and you're not really in the body. You've got a leaving pattern, so you spend a lot of your time out of the body. That is part of our healing work, is to really know that we are clearing the lenses and the filters and the frequency fences within the body, the unconscious, the subconscious, to hold more light, more expression. And what that does is it creates new timelines. So of course it looks like a quantum leap. We are shifting timelines. If you don't have the block, you don't have the wonky lens, then ultimately you've got no need to be attracting in any of the lower frequency experiences. So it allows you to have a quantum leap. It allows you to start new chapters. It allows you to rewrite your script and story. And if we come on to stories is something that we have deep collective belief systems. They're all stories. They are man-made. They're not ultimate 100% truth. We hold many stories that we've created and curated through our childhood experiences, but they're often being curated through a childhood mind that was still in its developmental stages, where we didn't have full emotional development. Therefore, our stories are not going to be the ultimate truth, and often they're laced in fear. And there may be trauma where it's affected the soul from childhood. And that can be around everything from relationships, from love, from the connection to our body and our sexuality, and money. So resources. What was the story in the household? What was the energy around money? Was it even talked about? What was the dynamic? Was it something that your parents argued about? What was that story? That lives alive in you, regardless if it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago, it lives within you, because this is part of the programming and the lenses that we form through our childhood period. And as adults, and as we go through our awakening journey, we then have the invitation, the gift, the opportunity through our triggers and through our desire for something different to start to do the inner work, to refine the filters that we hold, to change the story. But to change a story, we have to understand what story we're running in the first place. Otherwise, it's a bit like, not really able to understand who we are. So to understand what's going on in the background, that is to understand our subconscious. It's to understand that we have unconscious parts of ourselves and subconscious living through the body, living through our energy field that holds all these lenses and filters. So we have to make the unconscious conscious to be able to change it. And this is really the root of my body of work, is to assist those that are ready to do this deeper work in being able to get to the root piece that is the block at this now time moment that is holding you back from being able to allow in more light, resources, soul, new possibilities, opportunities, money. We have to understand what is the story, what's the block, what is the filter that's in the way. So I take my clients through specific protocols that I've created that allow them to access that information in their own subconscious. Now, just to have the information is one thing, but we then need to understand that we can't reprogram something that is deeply coded within different layers of our being. We have to shift, we have to heal. Now, that might mean energy clearing. It might mean that there is some form of trauma release. There might be emotional release that needs to happen. There might be something that needs to happen to change how you're treating your body, a bit of a detox. So again, it's going to be quite unique. And also, this is in layers. You don't need to heal every single thing in your relationship to wealth and money in order to see an outer shift in your reality. Quite frankly, you won't be able to clear everything in one go. That isn't what our souls are wanting for us and what they are allowing us to do. We wouldn't be able to process and integrate it either. And this is a key thing, is understanding that if we have a desire for big purpose, to make change in this world, to have, a new earth that is being built, that is a frequency shift. It's a consciousness shift, but it requires us to tap into a new frequency of what is money, a new frequency of wealth. And actually, that is not capped by everything outside of you. It's actually capped by these pieces within you. So to understand that wealth energetics starts with the inner alchemy, and you have the key to your own cage to start to do this work. Nobody is limiting how fast you do it. And you will start to see that this has a ripple effect, because it is about energy. It's about light. It's about how much can you embody more of this source frequency? How much more of your soul purpose can you say yes to? And in doing so, allow in more source light, ideas, influence to come through you, and you become this vessel and expression. It's about really the truth of what money is as a vehicle to support us in the 3D reality, because we're not leaving the 3D reality. We're not leaving our physicality. But the way that religion and all these old archaic systems came in, they cut us off from our divinity to be able to remove the filters, remove the lenses, connect to source ourselves, come back to our inner knowing and our joy state, our heart being opened. All of that has been broken, and we are basically learning how to use this toolkit that we hold. So I've created a 5-day program that will take you through a deep dive in understanding the layers of your money story, including the layers that have come in around the family, the ancestral side of things, and your feminine lineage. We have to understand, both if we go back even 1 or 2 generations, women have not had the level of financial freedom, independence, or liberation that they have now. Even 30 years ago, there was still, a man needed to sign for a woman to get a mortgage or a credit card. That isn't very long. So that means that could even be part of your childhood story. In the UK, for example, a woman would not have been able to leave her partner and then rent a property on her own with her children. They wouldn't have allowed her to do that because of the rental agreements. So again, look at what happened in your childhood, in your money story, because it may have things to do with, was there a divorce? Was mum staying in a relationship due to money, survival, safety? All of these things are part of the lens that you have in your connection to money. And if we want to heal our relationship with something, we cannot be holding a distorted field of projection about something. We have to understand what that is, because it's not actually in truth about money, frequency, source, or light. None of that is. But it creates a lot of fear. It has a huge emotional charge, and it lives within us. So it is animating. Your outer reality will be reflecting what you're holding. So I take you through an exercise to really be able to uncover these different layers. I'm also going to be showing you how to reset your nervous system and vagus nerve so that you can then create capacity in your nervous system and your body to feel safe to even start to do this work. Because it's not just safety about more money. It's safety about more light. It's safety about, well, actually, if I have all of this money, then I actually have to step out and, launch that business or grow that business or start to step into a new identity of myself, who is this individual that is, living in the way that you desire. It requires an identity shift. And that is often where all our upper limit stuff comes up and we get triggered and we essentially block ourselves. Self-sabotage comes in. Now, that self-sabotage is basically because of these lenses and filters in the background. We have subconscious programming, but we also have wounded parts of ourselves that are operating. They are affecting our perceptions, our thoughts, our feelings, and they are trying to keep us safe. But ultimately, if you desire the next leap in your income, because it's going to allow you to create the new life you desire, and it's going to create more positive impact in the world, these pieces, that to them may seem like it's way too out of the realms of safety, therefore better to keep you where you are. And that can show up in many different ways. It can show up in avoidance, procrastination, or it can show up in illness, manifesting illness so that you don't have to step into your power. This is the path of the initiate moving into their higher soul wisdom. These blocks and things come up at all levels, and often you get used to what your patterns are. So you're able to kind of really confront them differently with a place of love and compassion. So this program is really going very deep to help you have a toolkit that you can start accessing on a daily basis. The next piece, with the information, we have some level of conscious awareness of your story. You are stepping into this knowing that this is to step you into a higher soul timeline around wealth. It is to really expand your connection to source and also your soul. Therefore, we then take you through an energy transformational healing that is working with your soul, with source, with your Akashic record realms and teams, and removing some of the lenses and filters of the stories, the key stories or the key root beliefs and pieces that are holding you back. Now, that's going to be unique every single time you go in and do that recording and you do that exercise. And because of the way that I work, you will be given the information, because you need the conscious awareness of what it is that's being healed and what's being transformed. So that means that we're working on both the conscious level, the subconscious level, and the unconscious level. So the soul and energetics level. So at that root, with that information, by clearing those pieces out, you open yourself up to more light, but a higher frequency timeline. That means you shift into new possibilities and opportunities. Then, because we have cleared those pieces, we have another piece. This comes to mindset. This is where we're working on the reprogramming, because we have spaciousness. We've just moved past those blocks and limitations. The next piece is to look at reprogramming for the true connection and relationship to wealth energetics. So to look at new subconscious programming. And again, there is a recording that I've created that is to be used before bed and in the morning, to when your mind is most susceptible to taking on that new information, that essentially assists you in holding the higher frequency, having a new outlook, and starts to become part of your inner programming. programming that's going to support you in your expansion rather than limit you and hold you back, which is the old programming that we're all carrying. And all of this is to essentially create this whole cycle of mind, body, soul energetics. And it is working under the constructs of understanding this law of correspondence, which also looks at this holographic reality, meaning that if we are going to make the outer world change, we have to shift both what is happening at soul energetics level and what is happening in our inner lens frequency point here, so that we project and start to create a new outer reality. Throughout this, you're also going to be getting new downloads of new aligned action for yourself to take, because you need to take the physical action in the 3D to ground your new reality. It comes with you taking new bold steps. It comes with you starting to embody the version of yourself, the future self that you will be connecting in with within this program, to then take her wisdom, take her knowledge that she gives you, so that you go, right, okay, I realize she's showing up and dressing in a different way. She's speaking in a different way. Actually, I can see she's on a stage. Okay, so I need to start somewhere. Perhaps I need to start being more visible online. Perhaps I now need to research what stages would be best for me to be on, because then I'm going to reach the people that need the medicine that I'm sharing. It then allows you to then start to take the physical world action that align you to take the steps that really are being mapped out for you to quantum leap. You, because of the level of the depth that we go into energetically, you will start to see shifts straight away. Other people respond to you differently, and you will feel different in your body. That is the beauty of doing work at this depth, because you're doing it 360. And this is my Soul Architect series modality that I've woven throughout this to make it very simple for you to realize that you can completely change your relationship with wealth, which is also about your relationship with source, your purpose, and yourself, in a very short period of time, and start to see changes. This is then the foundation stone for you to then start to utilize, considering there are other areas of your life that may want to be transformed. So you may realize that actually now there are changes in your business or your relationships. It's knowing that this toolkit is something that, again, has the capacity to make change in all areas of your life. So it starts to open up many, many opportunities for you. And the key here is, when you're saying yes to soul purpose, it's also about saying yes to healing your relationship with money, because we need money in the hands of good people that are going to be circulating it into areas, organizations, businesses that they want to see grow, that actually start to create these new communities, these new areas of society that are operating from new values and virtue sets. So again, by doing this work, you will start to align and attract and find these new communities, because you're on a new frequency set point. You are not just operating through the old lens of the 3D reality, which is scarcity, which is really a lot of fear-based stuff. And that is, if we can really reframe that as knowing that is not the only and ultimate truth, it gives us the invitation to reset and start to refine our inner filters and move in a new way of forming a relationship with the reality that we desire to actually be part of. This is deep transformational work, and for women, this is part of our liberation to heal our connection to our bodies. Wealth is embodied. It comes through the body, as we said, the energy comes through the body to then be projected out. That is part of our evolution to understand through the feminine awakening, where we are holding ourselves in contraction, when actually the expansiveness of connecting to who we are and our energy field allows us to be radiant, and that is magnetic. It's to step away from so much of what we've been taught in the wonky world of 3D and liberate ourselves. So I hope that that's been really useful. I'm going to send a link at the bottom of this for you to download. It's only £88 and you get 5 days deep dive. So where do you want to be in 5 days? That is the invitation. What do you want to start to see changing in your reality around your connection with wealth? And that also means looking at judgments and projection and realizing that it doesn't serve us to have that separation between whether it's other people or the money that we desire, And the invitation is to remove the lens, shift the wonky lens that we hold and start to expand, knowing that this is an abundant universe and there is infinite opportunities and potential for every single one of you. So sending you lots of love, and I will be jumping on here tomorrow because I'm getting shown that I need to be sharing more. And I feel one of the pieces that needs to come through in particular is really starting to explain this holographic realm and reality and how that is woven in through natural laws and how it frees us so much from lots of this monkey mind story stuff that keeps us locked in old mythology and old ways of being. It creates more complexity than we actually need. And really, this is an acceleration period on Earth where we get to rewrite the scripts very quickly if we choose. And this is our time. So thank you so much. I will pop the links below, and I'll also pop a link there if you have questions, or if you would like to work with me one-to-one, then I will pop a booking link and you can connect with me there. Sending you lots of love. Bye-bye.